San Diego is besieged by claims and lawsuits against the city, ranging from accidents involving city sidewalks to floods from broken water pipes. According to the Watchdog Institute at San Diego State University, the number of cases has dropped, yet the cost of dealing with them has tripled. And you, the taxpayer, are paying. With me to explain is reporter Kelly Thornton. Kelly, welcome.
Thank you.
I mentioned accidents and floods. What are some of the other claims and lawsuits that the city has against it?
Well, I think the big ones that are costing all the money include things like the Mount Soledad landslide, where all the people had the landslide issues and their houses were damaged, and they claimed it was the fault of the city for not managing their water pipes correctly. There's everything from traffic accidents of its own vehicles to its own people filing lawsuits for employment issues, discrimination, sexual harassment, that kind of thing. It runs the gamut.
Well, lately we've been hearing about some suits that the police unions had brought against the city.
Right, and that's been really interesting because from our analysis of the data, there were 3 key cases that the POA brought, and combined, those 3 cases cost the city about $8.6 million to fight. And that makes them the most expensive legal adversaries the city has.
How does the city actually incur those kind of costs in these cases?
Well, the city has to decide how to fight it, and in this case, in the POA case, they had conflicts of interest since the police officers are their own employees, so they had to bring in outside lawyers to fight it. So that is a really big part of the expenses that the city has to pay if they bring in outside lawyers.
We've heard about those outside lawyers. I remember a couple of years ago, they were charging something like $750 an hour.
Right. It kind of started with the Rocky De La Fuente case, which is the businessman down in South Bay who filed a suit against the city for breach of contract regarding one of his properties. And the city initially fought that case itself and then lost, and it was something like a $94 million judgment, which was just devastating for the city. So when Casey Gwinn then decided, he was the then city attorney, decided to hire Latham and Watkins, which is a very expensive but excellent law firm, and they came in and it got the judgment reversed.
They did get it reversed.
Yes, but that case is ongoing. There's still a lot of legal dispute going on there.
That's what I thought. I thought that's been one of the longest cases and most expensive cases for the city.
Definitely.
So that probably drove the cost, the total cost up. I mean, you talked about the cost tripling. Why has the cost tripled if the volume has decreased?
Well, I think it was a number of things. Mainly, though, it was that the city had a number of big cases coming down between this time period. We looked at 2003 to 2010, and the key cases were the POA cases, the Soledad landslide cases, and also Rocky De La Fuente, and then there were the SEC investigation cases. The city was being investigated from numerous different organizations, everything from the feds to the state to the SEC. So they had to pay legal bills for a lot of the folks that were being investigated.
What are we talking about in terms of costs? I mean, you mentioned $8 million here and $3 million here, and
well, the total cost to fight all claims and lawsuits between 2003 and 2010 was about $130 million, and a large amount of that was to outside counsel. However, just to make a point, Latham and Watkins, I think it was about $18 million that they charged during a 5 or 6 year period, and they were able to recover a lot of those, all of it, basically from insurance companies.
So you're talking about $130 million.
Right.
The city is now facing a deficit of $73 million.
Right.
So if they didn't have to pay out all this money, I mean, what is the effect on the city financially?
Well, I think, it's not a huge amount when you look in the big picture of the city's budget, but I think what a few people that I talked to were saying, like Carl DeMaio, they're saying, look, this is just one example of how things aren't managed the right way, and if we don't get this department in order, it's going to undermine the city's ability to rebound financially.
Okay, briefly, It's the city attorney, Jan Goldsmith, who's really sitting on top of all this. What kind of a reaction have you had from him?
Well, to be fair, it's a broader issue. It involves the risk management department. And there is an internal audit that came out in August that looked at that department and how the city handles claims from the very beginning. Because once you file if you have a beef with the city, you have to first file a claim in most instances. And then it's the risk management that evaluates that claim and then decides to react, how to react. And it gets to the city attorney's office at the lawsuit stage. So for Goldsmith's part, he came in and took over in 2009, early 2009, and he basically said that he went in and negotiated Latham & Watkins down to a lower fee of about $5.50 an hour, and he hasn't hired them since for new cases.
Thank you very much, Kelly Thornton.
Thank you.